Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'd like to begin this morning with our land acknowledgement. The University of Colorado Boulder, Colorado's flagship university, honors and recognizes the many contributions of indigenous peoples in our state. CU Boulder acknowledges that it's located on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native American nations. Their forced removal from these territories has caused devastating and lasting impacts. While the University of Colorado Boulder can never undo or rectify the devastation wrought on indigenous peoples, we commit to improving and enhancing engagement with indigenous peoples and issues locally and globally. How will we do this? We will do this by first recognizing and amplifying the voices of indigenous CU Boulder students, staff, and faculty and their work. By educating, conducting research, supporting student success, and integrating indigenous knowledge, and consulting, engaging, and working collaboratively with tribal nations to enhance our ability to provide access and culturally sensitive support and to recruit, retain, and graduate Native American students in a climate that is inclusive and respectful. Now it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the University of Colorado Boulder for the Right Here, Right Now Global Climate Summit. Whether you're joining us in person or online, we're so pleased that you took the time to gather with us. I'd like to introduce two individuals. The president of the University of Colorado System, Todd Solomon, is with us. Todd, thank you for being here. And our chair of the Board of Regents, Leslie Smith. Leslie, thank you for being here. The University of Colorado Boulder carries a rich legacy as a decades-long leader in sustainability, and we are grateful and humbled by the opportunity to host this summit on our campus. Convening such an event comes with great responsibility. CU Boulder is one of the top research universities in the world for geosciences and climate science. Our research endeavors are bringing forward extraordinary climate solutions, ranging from the development of low-carbon alternatives in building materials to laser methane leak detection to advancing solar technologies, to name just a few. Our students set a new bar more than 50 years ago when they formed the nation's first student-based environmental center, a body that continues to thrive. And CU Boulder was the first university to achieve STARS Gold status for sustainable campus operations. Now our university continues to take bold action. We are committed to achieving carbon neutrality no later than 2050. We are developing a climate action plan that will serve as our roadmap toward achievement through just, equitable climate solutions. And we are striving to embed sustainable and equitable futures into our common curriculum, which is on track for implementation by the fall of 2023. And that's just the beginning. I know that many of these goals are shared by our students, our faculty, our staff, and our local and global community. I also know that members of our community may ask our university and local, national, and world leaders to do more and to do it faster. CU Boulder shares our campus community's passion for sustainability and addressing the global humanitarian crisis of climate change. We are excited to partner with so many of you who also share a commitment to the bold idea that we can, we will, and we must take action on climate change to sustain and support human rights. Thank you for sharing your perspectives, your intellect, and your energy as we commit to change together. And now it's my pleasure to introduce an individual whose career has demonstrated a resolute commitment to the issues before us, Governor Jared Polis. Governor Polis is focused on helping our state make the transition to 100% renewable energy, protecting our public lands, and preserving our Colorado way of life. Since taking office, the governor has signed more than 70 pieces of legislation to address the climate crisis head on. This includes giving local governments a voice when it comes to oil and gas development, expanding the availability and infrastructure for electric vehicles and other clean transportation options, more efficient building standards, and air quality improvements. In addition, the Polis administration has worked with Colorado utilities that operate over 99% of the fossil-based generation to achieve at least an 80% pollution reduction by 2030. The governor has also created the Office of Climate Preparedness to ensure that Colorado is prepared to address future climate changes and protect the Colorado we know and we love for decades to come. Please join me in welcoming our Governor, Jared Polis.
Thank you, Chancellor DiStefano. Thank you. I think we're also joined by Mayor Brockett, University of Colorado President Todd Solomon. I also want to thank all of the CU Boulder staff and faculty, volunteers who worked to bring the United Nations right here, right now, Climate Summit to Colorado. Thank you to everyone joining this important conversation across the world in what I hope will be an important milestone in the critical global conversation around the impacts of climate change, particularly on human rights and marginalized communities. I also want to thank the United Nations Human Rights Representative, Ben Schachter, and Therese Arneson, right here, right now, Global Climate Alliance CEO David Clark, and all those joining from campuses, Colorado, across the world. Here in Colorado, we are focused on taking a comprehensive sector-based approach to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality. That includes targeted efforts around transportation, including leading the way in electric vehicle options for consumers, accelerating deployment of renewable energy, reducing energy waste and improving how we heat and cool homes and businesses, reducing oil and gas emissions, and holding industrial polluters accountable, while also protecting our cherished lands and ensuring our communities are more resilient in the face of climate-driven calamities like wildfires and floods with our new climate resiliency efforts. And while there's a lot of work ahead, we're proud of where we are so far. An analysis of 5 U.S. states leading on climate and clean energy, the Colorado-based think tank RMI found that existing policies already here in Colorado position us ahead of California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and Washington State in emission reductions. And we're proud to be that leader. But we also need every local government, business, state, and of course countries across the world all working together in tandem to meet the climate goals that we need to. Transitioning Colorado to 100% renewable energy by 2040 has been our top goal and a top priority of mine since I announced my candidacy for governor in 2017. I'm proud to report back 4 years later that we've locked in more than 80% renewable energy by 2030. That's in just 7 more years. And with our utilities and other partners, I'm very optimistic we will achieve the goal of 100% by 2040. This goal is about more than reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's also about improving our air quality, protecting consumers from high energy costs and spikes in natural gas that can lead to forcing consumers to pay more. It's about driving rural economic development and supporting high quality, good green jobs right here in Colorado. Environmental justice and a just transition are also top priorities. We've established an environmental justice ombudsperson role, an environmental justice advisory board at our Department of Public Health and Environment. And we've created new efforts focused at Department of Transportation, PUC, and Utility Consumer Advocate to ensure the benefits of clean energy transition serve all Colorado residents, especially those impacted by pollution and justice. We want to make sure no community is left behind. Our Just Transition Office is working with impacted communities and workers to ensure that everyone can reap the benefits from the transition to a clean economy. We're seeing emerging opportunities for technology to contribute to climate solutions, including in the areas of geothermal energy, carbon capture, direct air capture, and hydrogen. And we're doing everything in our power to address climate change, but we know that there needs to be more work in the future. Almost a year ago, Boulder County, not too far from here, saw the most destructive fire in the history of Colorado. And many CU faculty and staff lost their homes. In 2020, we saw the 3 largest fires by acreage in the history of our state. In 2021, mudslides resulting from burn scars destroyed a portion of Highway 70, our major transportation corridor through Glenwood Canyon. And we're facing a major drought, threatening agriculture, water, and our way of life. That's why we're focused on planning for an uncertain future. We've created the new Office of Climate Preparedness and Disaster Recovery. And as we work to address the root causes and continue to lead on reducing emissions, we also have to prepare for what's coming our way in Colorado in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years down the road. And that includes the impact on human rights and marginalized communities. We are so grateful to have CU Boulder in the state of Colorado playing a pivotal role, helping us act on the moral imperative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to a changing climate. For decades, CU Boulder has been a leader in climate and energy research, including the important intersection of environmental studies and human rights. Here at CU, you've not only taken action on important research, but demonstrated first-of-your-kind sustainability practices on campus and beyond, serving as a model to not just universities, but also communities across the world. Your commitment and global leadership on these topics is exemplified by this partnership with the United Nations. By taking the research and action happening here in Colorado, sharing it with the world, collaborations like this can play a key role in exploring and scaling solutions that deliver the real results that we need. The global challenge of climate change and the impact climate change imposes on human rights and marginalized communities also needs increased harmonization of local, state, national, private sector, and international efforts. The Right Here, Right Now Global Climate Alliance understands this challenge and opportunity, and I share in your fundamental commitment to human rights in the face of climate change, including the right to clean water and sanitation, healthy food, clean air, and self-determination. From rising sea levels to increasing frequency of extreme weather events, health impacts, mass migrations, increasing global conflict, there's no denying that climate change is also a humanitarian crisis. By gathering some of the world's foremost human rights, scientific, sociological, political, educational, cultural, economic, industry leaders, we hope that together to commit to specific outcomes that can help address some of the impacts of climate change on human rights and on marginalized communities. Thank you again for the opportunity to join you today and challenge you with the charge that your work in the coming days simply must succeed. Failure is not an option. It is my honor to welcome a message from the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the United Nations, Volker Turk, who joins us by video.
Friends and colleagues, my father is a landscape architect and my uncle is a biologist who is specialized in lichen, which is the quintessential bioindicator. So when I grew up, I remember our dinner conversations, and there was often talk about impact on the environment, of the depletion of the ozone layer, but also, even then, climate change. And this was in the 70s. My family, my father and my my uncle, could foresee what is happening today. And over the past decades, the climate justice movement has expanded and deepened to become one of the most, if not the most, important social movement of our time. Crucially, for all of us gathered here today, climate justice has come to embody two things. First, the climate crisis is a human rights crisis with real impact on human beings across the globe and for future generations. Human rights are our compass to guide the important decisions that need to be made about climate change, on how to bolster climate financing to benefit the people and countries that are most affected, on mitigation and adaptation, and on loss and damage. The agreement at COP27 to set up a loss and damage fund is an important step towards climate justice that environmental and human rights activists have long demanded. A human rights-based approach enables a more effective response to the gender-differentiated impacts of climate change. And free, meaningful, and active participation for all, including those most affected by climate change, is absolutely necessary if we are serious about transparent, inclusive, and accountable climate decision-making. Second, we need each other to bring about real change. We need to build bridges between people, institutions, businesses, governments, and between those most affected by climate change and those most responsible. Each sector of society needs to work together to advance the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment, as was recognized by the General Assembly in July this year. Looking at our summit today, there are experts from diverse sectors of society, climate activists from the Boulder community, and a virtual audience composed of educational institutions and people from around the world. A Right Here, Right Now celebrity-driven social media campaign for COP27 reached an estimated 420 million people. There is tremendous power in these numbers. When existing systems are lacking, we can work together to find new climate solutions that are grounded in human rights. Over the course of this summit, you will learn about how we can innovate in our strategies, from litigation, advocacy, behavioral science to traditional knowledge and technology, to advance climate action that is rights-based. You have an important task ahead of you. This summit is expected to take the first steps towards substantiating, right here, right now, human rights climate commitments to protect our planet and our humanity, to push for greater ambition for climate action, absolutely necessary and vital for our survival. This alliance represents the power of change, that we can do things differently by drawing on the best parts of what makes us human: solidarity, empathy, and creativity. I wish you a very successful meeting.
Thank you again to our Governor and the UN High Commissioner for being part of our opening session today. And to all of you who joined us, thank you for making this summit part of your schedule this week. We have a truly incredible lineup of panels and speakers planned for you, and I encourage you to join for as many sessions as you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us today for the opening session of the Right Here, Right Now Global Climate Summit. The next session will begin at 10:15 a.m., and you are welcome to stay here to